All right, we are moving on to assignment 6, which is our vector logo mashup assignment. If we look at some student work from the past, you'll see that I usually pick a theme for this project. And usually a different theme each semester. So we'll see some different ideas. This was for an Alzheimer's walk logo theme, and it starts with a sketch and then a color logo. It's another version on the same theme. Here's another sketch on the same theme, the black and white logo, the color logo, another theme on the same sketch, or another sketch on the same theme. This has a heart hidden in it. It's very subtle. This one gets more ambitious. This one was based on an Earth Day theme. The sketch, black and white, color, sketch, color, made as a vector. Now this was kind of a sketch that's composited together in Photoshop, which isn't a bad technique. You know, we've gotten used to raster, we've gotten used to compositing, and we do that before we do vectors so that you can put your ideas together that way and then bring them into Illustrator and decide what tools are best to use in a vector program to create your end result. We had a Day of the Dead theme, various results, some more Earth Day stuff. This one's really clever. It's based on the tiny blue dot photo from, I think, the Voyager probe. And in the sky it says very subtly home. You can see it in the sketch. Maybe you can't. But here it was the only home we have. But they decided to just put home in there very subtly. But we're going for something that works as an effective graphic. We did the NLC Nighthawk one semester. Try to play with that. I liked this one, but it's a little busy to be a logo. We did something about Midnight Madness one semester. Black and white, color. NLC's in the blood there. So lots and lots of different options. We did the Martin Luther King walk. And you are allowed to do a mashup of existing logos, or you're allowed to just create something all on your own as well. So lots of options, lots of ways to go. But some logos are more effective than others. And so what I want to show you to introduce this project is first just some basic approaches, graphic design approaches to logos. And they're very different than raster images. So let me see. There's basically 3 approaches that I think are most common in logos. And one is that logos are often centrally designed and symmetrical. So some examples of that. Some examples will be very familiar. Obama's logo looks a lot like the Pepsi logo, right? But is centrally composed, right? Everything happens dead center. Everything's very balanced side to side. Dodge Ram. Chanel plays a nice reversal to keep it symmetrical. For Coco Chanel, the 2 C's. This looks very Silicon Valley-esque, playing with symmetry in more than one direction. Sports logos, but only the sports logos that are looking straight on. They'll go for a straight symmetry. It has a graphic power. Notice that the shape of all of these, even when contained in a circle, you know, the negative space and the positive space, is very effective. Whether it's tiny, you can still make it out clearly, like on a business card, or whether it's huge, like on a billboard. So you need your shapes to be strong. Really thin, intricate shapes aren't going to read well as a logo. This is for Frito-Lay, Starbucks, Batman, right? Very strongly symmetrical. Another game you often see with logos is playing with the negative space. And this is something a little bit more sophisticated that you might not notice right away. But let's look at these examples. And they might be symmetrical, they might not be symmetrical. But this is a logo about, you know, civic responsibility, or for city council, the key to the city, right? And so it plays with the negative space in that the positive space of the black key tells you one thing, and then the negative space of the shapes that the key cuts out tells you another thing, in this case a city skyline. Or for this, very nice zoo logo, a little complex, but you have a big elephant, and then in the negative space of the elephant you have a giraffe, you have a rhinoceros. I don't know what this is supposed to be. That's a minimalist porcupine. But it helps you read it as an elephant. A lovely hospital logo here combining a dove. It's really a mashup with a tree, right? It has this nice movement to it. It's still fairly centrally composed, but the movement of the dove kind of carries your eye through it in a more dynamic way. And here, the Department of Health and Human Services. It has faces in the negative space and an eagle in the positive space. And it has a nice dynamic movement. And here's another zoo one that uses the negative space to create the shape of this eagle. So even if you're using simple, just one color design, you can push it pretty far. Now the third type is dynamic. And dynamic simply means that you're trying to move the eye through the image in an exciting way. There's a direction implied. Right? So this logo, yes, it works well as shapes both small and large, but it also sweeps your eye through it. You know, it's not meant to look to be centrally composed or balanced symmetrically. Instead, it moves your eye in different directions, so your eye keeps moving in a dynamic way. This one as well. Right, this is a popular approach for logo design. This was one minimalist example of what our Nighthawk logo could be at our campus, playing with a lot of different color variations on the campus colors, and just being almost completely non-representational, but shapes that suggest movement of like a hawk and feathers. Here's a Firebird logo, and it's all about the movement, right? Twitter, its shape is all about movement. The next Olympic Games in Rio de Janeiro, beautiful logo, about this kind of figure-8 movement. It just keeps your eye going. And then any kind of sports logos that have a directional bend to them. You know, like UTSA's Roadrunner. A Roadrunner isn't that effective looking straight on you symmetrically. You want to get the movement to it. So the Roadrunner's head is facing to the side. It tries to move you through with strong diagonals. This is for the Miami Dolphins. All right, and then let me do a quick test with you guys to make sure you can kind of see what I'm talking about with some of these. And you tell me what strategy they're using. Symmetrical approach, negative space approach, or dynamic approach. Yeah, dynamic here. Even though it's subtle, just that tilt and the use of color kind of is made to move the eyes through it. Now there is a difference between a logo and a logo type. Logo type is a text treatment. A logo is a standalone image, and we are just doing a logo project for this first one. We're not doing type at all. This one's a little trickier. What do you think? So is it playing with symmetry? If we draw that line down the middle like that, does it match side to side? No. It's tilted symmetry, right? But that tilt automatically gives you some dynamic movement, right? Moving across it. It's very different than the Obama logo, which is similar to this, but is all horizontal and vertical. The diagonals make a big difference. So you can say that this is dynamic, but it's very contained still, right? So I'd actually say the main thing here is playing with the negative space. You see the fork and spoon kind of wrapping around from the outside? That's the negative space taking over. Now what about this one? It has a nice movement to it, right? But is it dynamic? Not really, because it's perfectly balanced, right? It's just balanced in a different way. It's balanced with a mirror image as opposed to direct by symmetry. So symmetry here is the main goal, balancing throughout. What about this one? Yeah, all about symmetrical balance. This one, by the way, all these Nighthawks ones, this is just from an online logo generator. You can get such a thing. You know, you just type in your name and a little slogan. So I said, Nighthawks take flight. And they try a lot of different approaches. So this is like a high-class approach. You might use it for brandy that you want to sell for more money, right? It's not really what the Nighthawks are about, but what does this use? I hear symmetry. Yeah, absolutely. It's very balanced side to side, right? And then it's also playing a little bit with negative space, right? Though it's really just using the negative space to create its image. There's not really anything going on with these two shapes. This is a lovely refined logo. Nice black and white vector. Sorry. There we go. What is this playing with? Symmetry. Hardcore symmetry. So hardcore that even though we can read Paris in it, the design is absolutely perfectly symmetrical. The exact same thing side to side. So to make symmetrical solutions is a bit of an obsession for some designers. What about the Rolling Stones, this simple one? Color is obviously very important to this logo. This logo is not as effective in black and white.
They're like Dairy Queen?
So the colors of Dairy Queen. And Dairy Queen has, maybe they want some, they have that kind of butterfly-like shape, or I don't know what to call it, the same sort of curve in it. But why this kind of curve and movement through? Is it trying to be symmetrical? Or is it trying to move your eye in a more dynamic way? Yeah. It's subtle, but it's more dynamic. And then lastly, this one. Even though it's a logo type, I think it's a very clever one because of its use of positive and negative space, creating that S entirely out of empty space. So everything becomes super important in a logo, the shapes and the space around your shapes. So as we sketch our ideas, we want to keep that in mind. All right, so how do I start this project? Well, we are going to do a theme of masks. So I decided I would do a mashup of a Colonel Sanders mask with a zombie skull mask, just in time for Halloween. So what I did is I collected a lot of reference images. I'm not going to composite them though I could start that way, but I just put them all in a folder together so I can look at them all together for my sketch. My next stage is going to be sketching to inform my logo.